John Galloway, Development Director for Ørsted in the Isle of Man.
So John, just obviously where we're at the minute, it's looking ahead towards offshore wind development for the island, in the territorial waters off the coast of Mackle.
Yeah.
Just sort of tell us about, I suppose, how you got to this stage really, because obviously there's a government procurement thing years ago on it, but it's sort of been a little bit quiet on that for a lot of people.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we were awarded the area in 2015 from the Isle of Man government, so granted an agreement for lease then. And that was really with the intention to explore the area itself for lease, find out suitability for offshore wind in that location. It's all within the 12 nautical mile limit, so it's in the Manx territorial seas. But the thing that was identified at the time then was that this was an opportunity for economic benefit. So that percentage of the revenue from electricity exported from the offshore wind farm towards the UK or towards Ireland, that revenue would come back to the Isle of Man Treasury. So we're doing a lot of work in the meantime. We've carried out a lot of surveys in the area, looked at the geophysical state, looking at birds, marine mammal movements, that kind of thing. Really just painting a picture of what the area looks like and how it would be suitable for offshore wind in the future. So this is really the first stage of reaching out to the whole community. We've got our drop-in sessions the week of the 20th of November. And it's an opportunity for people to come and meet all of the team that are behind it at Ørsted, bringing the Moorvannon project forward, and really a chance for people to bring any concerns or topics and equally any opportunities they see forward to us directly.
Just obviously with them starting in a couple of weeks' time or about 10 days' time, so have you had much sort of feedback at the minute? You know, speak to businesses and that. What's the sort of vibe that you're getting out of people?
Yeah, I think it's really positive. I mean, what we're proposing is something that the Isle of Man government's been looking at for a while, but then since the Climate Change Act came in 2021 and the new Climate Change Action Plan, there's a lot more policy and support and strategy at a government level. And I think businesses are realising as time goes on that, you know, the climate change emergency is a real factor. A lot of new employees want to see companies and businesses doing the right thing when it comes to transitioning to net zero. And certainly what we've proved with offshore wind in terms of the developments we've got all around the UK and indeed all around the world is this is the chance to do real low-cost electricity generation and become a base load power generation for the future transition to what will be a pretty all-electric grid in terms of the future.
Obviously you said about in terms of the benefits of the island, and that's in terms of the financial. But in terms of actually electricity, is that going to come to the island? Is that going to go straight to the UK? What's the sort of plan with that at this stage?
Yeah, so the original plan back in 2015 that the government had in mind was that all that power would go to the UK and access there. That's still going to be the case for the majority, what we're exploring, because that's where the demand is, of course, and that's where the market is for renewables. But we know now with the net zero transition that's happening in the island, there is much more expectation that there's going to be a need for that renewables to come here. So we're exploring that with Manx utilities at the moment. That's discussions that we're having. And those are very much at the early stage in terms of the technical, because what you're talking about is a capacity around the same demand of the island that we could provide from that link that we would build. So what they've got to start to design around is that could be a base load, and then other renewables that are coming on the system perhaps sooner than we will have to be accommodated as well. So they've got a whole grid to support in terms of what their work is at Manx Utilities, but we are certainly hoping to explore that opportunity to bring the power to the island. But as I say, the majority from the wind farm would still be for export and the revenue and taxation back to the island.
Obviously we've had outside Manx waters, but we have had the wind farm sort of on the horizon now for a little while. You can see them up the north coast of the island, especially off Douglas at night, you can see the red lights. What sort of visual impact at this stage do you think it would be for people on off the Mackle coast? Yeah,
so there's going to be a visual impact, there's no doubt, and as you say, we can see already the operational projects. So those projects you see out there in the coast now are Ørsted operated projects. We've got our base in Barrow that functions as the base for the operation of those. The reality is we're moving these much closer, so they're going to come inside the 12 nautical mile limit around the island, and that means that they will be within much more viewing distance of the east coast of the island. Our hope is that we will be able to get some concerns and some feel from the various community events that we're having in November. We will then go away to the design board, come up with some of the expected layouts and how we could mitigate some of those impacts wherever the majority are. And then when we come out to major consultation next year, we'll have much more in terms of design and layout and visualizations to show people what the view could be like in the future.
So I just sort of bounced around, I realised, but So the plan for this stage is just sort of initial engagement, but there's planned to be a wider public consultation engagement style system next year.
That's right. So what we want to do is basically meet people in the community and get their thoughts on the principle, get their thoughts on the area and development of offshore wind in general in this area, so any particular issues that they think we need to look into and address. And then when we come back, it will probably be around spring or summer next year. We'll be able to describe in much more detail how our plans have progressed, the measures we'll take to mitigate on the key issues, and then that's all leading up to a planning application to the Isle of Man government, we hope, in early 2025.
Obviously this area lies up between the Isle of Man, what's one of our main shipping routes, in a general direction on the compass. There's been sort of criticism of the steam packet towards other wind farms that are proposed across sort of the northwest of England coastline. Will this involve engagement with the steam packet around any potential issues with shipping lanes on this?
Yeah, so I mean, it involves engagement with the steam packet as it involves engagement with lots of different users of the marine space. In the case of this particular area that we were granted by the government, that was one of the sensitivities that was considered back at the time. So we've had discussions with the steam packet and we continue to engage with them, but we're much more confident with this particular area for lease that it's that bit further to the north than some of the other developments that are coming forward. So the importance of the lifeline routes that operate can be preserved, and hopefully we can reach a sensible way forward on that.
This area is also potentially home to another fuel supply, being Kroger. Do you have much of a relationship there yet, how this can work? Because obviously the government has said before it's confident that this can all happen in one area.
Yeah.
How would that, again, I know it's early stage, but how potentially could that work in practicality?
Yeah, we do have a relationship with them. We meet with them to discuss this, as I say, with other users of the marine space. Obviously, they're waiting for more information on their programme for works under their existing licence arrangement. And I think once there's further clarity on that, then it's for the two parties to come to some sort of agreement. We do this all the time. We've got large wind farms across the North Sea, for example, where there's interaction with oil and gas companies all the time. It requires commercial agreement between parties, but we're pretty confident that if we have some clarity on what both of us are doing, our programme's starting to become that bit clearer, and they're hoping theirs will be too, then we will be able to have those discussions and try to coexist as best we possibly can.
Brilliant. And just finally, the event's coming up. Where can people see you when you're about?
Yep, so we'll be there with the full team. Obviously, we've issued all the details in our leaflet, and on our website we'll start off with the event in Laxey on Monday the 20th of November, and then run right through the week with the final event at the Villa Marina on the Saturday from 2:30 till 7. So we look forward to seeing as many people as we can then.
Thank you.
Cheers.